Hey everybody, Aaron here with ChigenNucket Games. Today we're doing a Premiere Pro tutorial and I'm going to show you how to remove the background while your favorite Fortnite skin does the emote. There is a bit of a caveat that you want to pick a skin that has very little blue in it, since we're going to be keying out the blue. So if there's any blue in the skin that's doing the emote, it's gonna also key out that part and make it just a little trickier. So here's our original clip. We have it in our timeline, and then we're gonna go to the effects and we're gonna apply a couple effects. Let's apply a crop and let's apply an ultra key. Just search for ultra and ultra key will come up and we'll drag and drop. So now we have a clip that has crop and ultra key on it. We're gonna click it. We're gonna alt click and drag up and release the mouse to duplicate it. We're gonna go to the effects control and we're gonna go to the opacity and we're gonna make a mask here. So we're masking around the bottom pedestal of the emote. So let's just quick mask that up. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're gonna copy that mask and we're gonna paste it on the duplicated clip. So hit that opacity and hit Control V, and then we're gonna invert it. So then that top mask doesn't include the bottom and the bottom mask doesn't include the top. We're gonna just kind of adjust the masks a little bit and we're gonna reduce both of the feathers down to 0, and then we're gonna expand the bottom mask. I think we just expand it by 4, so that looks good. So there we go. Right now it doesn't look like we did much, but we have that mask and we have the top clip selected, and we're going to do a little bit of cropping so that we have a simpler image to work with. Let's crop the left 52. Let's crop the top 12. Let's crop the right 5. Let's crop the bottom 17. Okay, so this is cool. Now we're just gonna make sure this crop is as tight as it can be or not too tight. Oh, there it looks like we've cropped out a bit of Kit's paw or hand. So let's just reduce that top crop to 9. That looks good. Let's make sure there's no other parts where Kit is being cropped away. Oh, it looks like there is a bit on the right. Let's take that right crop down to 4. Okay, good. Let's just make sure our crop is nice one more time. Let's see how far to the left he goes. Alright, for this clip it looks like about there is the farthest left he goes when he leans his shoulder in like that, or his elbow. So let's just fix that left crop and crank it up to about 60. Now these, depending on the emote, these crop values will change. This is just a good walkthrough of what to do for this specific one. And it seems like Kit is in the crop a good amount, so that top layer is looking nice and cropped. I think we're gonna go down to the bottom layer. Let's click that bottom layer, go to the effects control panel, and let's crop that bottom layer. See, this just has the pedestal on it where Kit is standing. If you click that crop, you can see how much of the frame is left. So what we did, we had the left to the 53, we had the top cropped to 80, we had the bottom cropped to 14, and we had the right cropped to 7, it looks like. Oh, okay, and we're gonna crop the top, we're gonna tweak the top just a little bit, or maybe not. And then we're gonna crank up the left crop to 62, make sure that Kit's feet are still in the clip, that they're not getting cropped out. And okay, that looks good. So let's click. Actually, we're gonna do a little more tweaking. Let's we can crank up the left to 61 for the left crop of the bottom pedestal layer. All right, now let's go to the top layer and let's go to our Alt key. Let's click that eyedropper and let's pick a color on this clip that's kind of in the middle. It's not the lightest blue, it's not the darkest blue. So we pick that middle color blue, and now we're opening up the matte generation under Alt key, and let's go through these and see what we can do. Let's change the transparency to 35 for now, highlight to 0, shadow to 45, tolerance to 90, and pedestal to 100. Okay, this looks okay, but since it has a background, we can't really tell. So let's select these two clips in our timeline, hold Alt and press up to move them up a track, and let's make a new layer. Let's make a color matte. So you click that page, new color matte, and let's pick a color for our background. What color do we want our background to be? Let's make it like a purple. Okay, that looks good. And we can rename our color matte, purple matte. And we'll just drag and drop it underneath those two layers and extend it to the length of both of the clips. Now let's zoom in and see what our first key is looking like. Pretty sloppy. You can tell it's sloppy because a lot of purple is bleeding through, so that means you would be able to see right through that emote. There we go. The back of his leg is looking a little sloppy. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna select the top clip and we're gonna go back to our effect control panel and we're gonna go to matte cleanup. That's under matte generation. Let's keep the choke at 0 for now. Just refitting that panel. Let's soften it to 3. Let's contrast it to 100. And the midpoint we're gonna crank all the way down to 0. And let's zoom back in again. And if you press well, here I don't do it, but if you press H, you'll get the hand tool and you'll just be able to drag that. Okay, so there's something here that I don't like. You can tell there's some dots there. There's like a little white dots bleeding through. So I'm gonna tweak our key a little bit and see if we can figure out how to get those dots out of the way. Let's mess with the choke. I think the choke does the trick. So we're going to actually crank up our choke to... Ooh, okay, there's still some dots showing up. So we're going to crank it up to about... I think we end up cranking it to 25. Just, you know, it is a trial and error thing. This key isn't going to work for every skin and every emote. But I think this is a good walkthrough so we can see kind of the workflow to remove the background. So yeah, I cleaned up for the matte cleanup under Alt key. I changed the choke to 25 and I softened it to 2. Or I changed soften to 2. Okay, so I'm liking the top for now. I'm just gonna skim through it really quick to make sure that nothing is catching my eyes. And let's click that bottom layer and let's trim up the crop and make it even nicer. We're gonna get the bottom. We're gonna change the bottom crop to 15, and now let's go to Alt key and let's select the color we want to key out. We'll zoom in again, and then if you press H, you can drag this around, and we'll just drag to the bottom corner, pick the eyedropper. Again, let's pick a middle blue, not the darkest, not the lightest, but a middle color blue. And let's open up matte generation in our effect controls, and let's start changing some of these. Let's change the transparency to 50, the highlight to 0, shadow to 100. Actually, no, that's not right. Shadow to 60. tolerance to 100, and pedestal to 100. Okay, it's looking okay, but you can still tell that his feet are getting keyed out a little bit. There's a little bit of transparency on his feet, which is not great. So let's try to make that look better. Let's open up the matte cleanup. We can soften it to 10, contrast to 100, and midpoint. We're gonna turn the midpoint all the way down. Well, let's not make it all the way down. Let's change the midpoint to 5. All right, looks good, but there's still a little bit of spillage right by his feet, and I try to tweak the choke to make that look nice, but I didn't like that, so I kept the choke as it was, and I just changed that mask that we made in the beginning. So I clicked the mask, and then I changed some of the points just to literally cut them out, so I don't have to worry about trying to get the key to remove them. I can just remove them by moving the mask. And here I'm just making sure that this little adjustment I made didn't remove any of the model. So okay, I'm liking that. It's not perfect. You can still see through some of his feet, but for this purpose, I'm pretty happy with that. So this is what we're at right now. You know, as he spins around, the colors change a little bit. And here I found a little bit of spill right there, right in front of the wheel, on that metal bar in front of the wheel. So I'm gonna tweak it a little bit. I'm gonna tweak the key a little bit to see if I can remove that transparent bit right there where we see the purple bleeding through. So let's get to a point where we can see the purple pretty well, so we'll know when we get it removed. Select V to get the selection tool and select that top clip, and then go over to the effects controls, and we're going to tweak the transparency. Okay, yeah, let's tweak it. You know, this is a trial and error thing. See, I tweaked it down, it did not work at all. There you can still see a little bit of purple there, so I'm not super in love with that. I think I decided to keep that at 29. And then let's mess with the bottom transparency too, because his feet were a little see-through. Let's see if we can make that any better. I think I settled for 44 on the bottom layer transparency under the Alter key under the matte generation. There's a little bit of purple there on the top, but it's really not that noticeable. I think during playback it won't catch anyone's eyes. So I'm happy with this, and you know what, since we have 3 layers here, let's nest them. So to do that, we're going to select all 3 layers, we're going to right click, and we're going to select nest. And that'll make a new sequence, but they'll all be compressed to 1 layer, and that's really useful because then we can position and scale and rotate that 1 layer, and it'll move all the layers. And there we go. There's Kit right there. We can to make him have a transparent background, we can double click the nest to go into the original timeline, and we'll just turn off that matte track, and we'll just make it blind, and then we'll add another matte track on this one. There you go. There's a nice green matte underneath. And see, like I said, you can click the position, and now when you move Kit, you will be moving both of those layers, the bottom and the top, so we can do things like scale, change the position, rotate, and it'll be really easy to transform this clip without having to juggle the 2 clips inside. So here I am just making some keyframes to edit what we saw at the beginning of this video. yeah, that's it. I hope this technique was useful. It's not perfect. So if you figured out a better way to remove the background of a Fortnite emote, let me know in the comments. Again, some skins are easier than others since we're removing blue from the background. If your skin has any blue similar to the background, it's going to be quite hard to remove the background without removing the skin. So just keep that in mind. Here I am just putting in some keyframes to make the animation that we saw at the beginning of this. So thanks for watching. If this helped you out, leave a like, drop a follow, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.